Hello and welcome to Tuesdays with the Pilgrim as we continue our journey with Christian as he travels to the celestial city. Today we continue with Chapter 7, Part 7, Faithful's Confrontations with Temptation, Shame. Well, said Christian, have you met any other encounters in the valley? Yes, I met Shame. But of all those whom I have met on my pilgrimage, he, I believe, most bears the wrong name. After a little debate, others would have backed off some, but not so with this bold-faced Shame. Why, what did he say to you? Asked Christian. What did he say? He objected to our faith. He said it was a pitiful, low, cowardly thing for a man to give heed to religion. He said that a tender conscience was unmanly, and that for a man to be careful of his words and deeds would tie him down and rob him of the very adventurous liberty to which the truly daring spirits of the times were accustomed. He said that such a person would be the laughingstock of our present-day society. He also objected that so few of the truly powerful, rich, or wise men and women were ever of my persuasion. And he contended that of those of my persuasion, none had ever been powerful, wealthy, or wise prior to their conversion. He thought them to be fools who would voluntarily and eagerly decide to give up all they had for who knows what. He objected also to the lowly inferior rank and condition of those who were pilgrims. He also said that the pilgrims were ignorant, especially in their understanding of the natural sciences. He confronted me about a great many more things in addition to those I have already related. He said that it was a shame to sit whining and mourning under conviction from the message of a sermon, and it seemed a shame to him to see pilgrims sighing and groaning as they returned to their homes. He thought it a shame for me to ask my neighbor for forgiveness for petty faults, or to make restitution where I have taken advantage of someone. He said that religion separates a man from those who are great because of their few vices, which he called by finer names, and he said it makes him a member and a friend of the lowbrows because of their common religious association. Is this not a shame? He asked. Well, what did you say to him? I hardly knew what to say at first. Indeed, he was so convincing that I felt myself blushing. I felt like his point of view had beaten me. But then I began to consider how what is highly valued among men is detestable in God's sight. And I thought again, this Shame tells me man's point of view, but he tells me nothing of what God or the Word of God says. I thought, moreover, that at the day of judgment we shall not be doomed to death or presented with life according to the dictates of the lawless spirits of the world, but according to the wisdom and law of the Almighty. So I determined that what God says is best, even though all the world is against it. I realized then that God is the one who set forward this faith of ours. I saw that God esteems a tender conscience, and that those who make themselves fools for the kingdom of heaven are wisest, and that the poor man who loves Christ is far richer than the greatest man in the world who hates him. Then I commanded, Go away, Shame. You are an enemy of my salvation. Should I give heed to you against my sovereign Lord? How would I then be able to look him in the face when he comes? If I am now ashamed of his ways and his servants, how can I expect him to bless me? But this Shame was a bold and persistent villain, indeed. I could hardly shake him off. He kept haunting me and whispering in my ear about one or another weaknesses that goes along with religion. Finally, I told him that any further attempts to discredit the faith would be in vain, for it was in the very things he disdained that I was able to see the most glory. So at last I got past this stubborn menace, and having shaken him off, I began to sing. Oh, the hard trials that meet us all, who do obey the heavenly call. They're many and suited to the flesh, coming and coming again afresh, that now or later when we by them may be taken, overcome, and fall away. So let the pilgrims, all pilgrims then, be vigilant, forsake self-like men. I'm glad, my brother, said Christian, that you so bravely withstood this villain. For like you said, of all our enemies he seems wrongly named. He is so bold as to follow us in the streets and attempt to make us ashamed before all people. He would have us be ashamed of all that is good. He is shame, yet if he were not so audacious, he would never attempt to do as he does. But let us keep resisting him, for in spite of all his arrogant intimidation, he exalts none other than fools. Solomon said, "The wise are promoted to honor, but fools are promoted to shame." Well, said Faithful, I think we must cry for help against shame to him who would have us be valiant for truth upon the earth. You speak the truth, said Christian, but did you meet anyone else in the valley? No, I didn't. I had sunshine all the rest of the way through it, and also through the valley of the shadow of death. Chapter 7, Part 8. Christian recounts his troubles. Oh, you were well off. It was far different for me. I had an enduring season of trial. Almost as soon as I entered into that valley, I had a dreadful battle with that foul fiend, Apollyon. Yes, I thought he was going to kill me, especially when he got me down and crushed me beneath him. It seemed he would crush me to pieces. Then he threw me, and my sword flew out of my hand. He told me his victory was certain, but this poor man cried out, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. After this I entered into the valley of the shadow of death, and had no light for almost half the way through it. I thought I would be killed there over and over again. But at last the day broke, the sun rose, and I went through the rest of the way with far more peace and quiet. And that's the end of Chapter 7. So next Tuesday, we will pick up with Chapter 8, Faithful and Talkative. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. God bless. Take care.